Okay, it's the last day of 2025. It is New Year's Eve day, and pointing the camera at the screen again, I got a whole bunch of people that I'm just going to show some short reactions to part of their video, not going to watch the whole video. So first of all, this is all going to be concerning what's happening in Minnesota with mainly Somalians, but also a few other people. And I'm going to watch her first. I'm just going to watch maybe a minute or so of most of these people. And here we go.
There's a lot of back and forth on this. We're going to talk about Somali frauds in the state of Minnesota, more specifically in the city of Minneapolis. Now, Nick Shirley released what we'll call a 42-minute documentary, shall we say, where he leans on the research of a guy named David, who's just a citizen of Minneapolis, looking into fraudulent businesses, or what he claims to be fraudulent Somali businesses in the state of Minnesota. Now, in a single day, they travel around to as many of these businesses as possible, most of which are daycare centers that don't seem to really have any kids in them, and he's uncovered $110 million, over $110 million in fraud. Now, before we get into Nick Shirley's video and look at a little bit of what he's uncovered, I think it's important to set the scene of what we're dealing with in Minnesota right now. Minnesota's governor is Tim Walz. We almost had him as a vice president. Can you believe it? Now, here's a video of him actually replacing the historic Minnesota state flag.
No,
I'm not joking.
All right, ready. Whoa, wait a minute.
So this here is the old flag that they had for a long time, and he's going to replace it with a flag that looks suspiciously similar to the flag for the nation of Somalia. And
yeah, that's better.
And he says that's better. Somalis are continuously rallying and protesting in the state of Minnesota. They have a lot.
Okay, so we watched almost 2 minutes of her, and now let's watch, we're going to watch this guy, the Rageaholic. He's got a little bit of a funny take on it, but we're only going to watch about a minute of him. And all these videos are going to be in the description, so you can click on these videos and watch the whole thing. So if I only watch a minute or two of some of these videos, you can go and watch the whole thing yourself. Just look in the description, you'll find the links. Okay, so here goes this guy, the Rageaholic.
Welcome to sunny Minnesota, where the daycares are empty and the abortionist is full. Once characterized by being a satellite campus for Canada, as typified by the phrase Minnesota polite, today it looks like the second act to Black Hawk Down. Over the past month, members of the Razor Force will recall us reporting a whistle being blown on a mass welfare fraud scam whose revenue, after passing through a winding knotwork of shells and shills, wound up in the hands of Al...
Oh, yep. Yep, this is where some of the money is supposedly going. These guys, it's a potentially demonetizable word to say what type of organization this is, but we'll say fear-causing organization. Yes, okay, so let's go. The next one, Big A, that's the secondary channel of Atriak. I have trouble pronouncing, but well, he has like maybe 3 minutes of really good introductory material here. So we're just gonna watch maybe 3 minutes of his 20-minute video. This one will be in the description too, like all of these.
This is a spicy one today. This is a big topic. I have a lot to say on it, so bear with me. To catch you up, there is a massive fraud scandal unfolding in Minnesota right now, primarily among the Somali community of Minnesota, dealing with millions, if not billions of dollars of taxpayer money funneled into things like luxury vacations, luxury cars, and massive stacks of cash into overseas.
Yeah, the big news organizations are saying that the estimate is total somewhere around 8 billion right now, and that's just, you know, what they have found that is suspicious. It could end up being a lot higher, or if they decide that some of the things were actually legit, it could go down, but I expect it'll probably just go higher. So 8 billion is the estimate right now, as far as I know from the regular mainstream news, and it'll probably just go up from here.
Now, I want to give credit here. The person who really blew this story up on social media and YouTube is this young guy, Nick Shirley.
He's like,
Here's him
Nick
right
Shirley's
now
like
at
22.
One example we'll talk about, which is a so-called learning center.
Oh, yeah, and then look, the sign you can see in the background, it says Leering Center, and a lot of these are making fun of that because it is so shocking that people who are not really trying very hard to hide what they are doing would end up not getting uncovered very much by anyone who is mainstream or normal, but by this, I think, 22-year-old guy, YouTuber, is uncovering, or at least bringing it more to the public consciousness, and he's doing a really good job here. And he is risking himself to do this. This is actually really dangerous work that he's doing. Very heroic.
In Minnesota, that was billing the government to do learning for kids.
Here in Minnesota, massive fraud is taking place within the government and the Somali population. Here, this building alone, Quality Learning Center, is a daycare, yet they spelled learning wrong, and they said leering. This daycare alone in 2025 has received $1.9 million from the government. And the strange things about these childcare centers is there's no one here right now. It's midday on a weekday. If you were to try to go inside, it's completely closed and the windows are all blacked out.
Not a great look. Not a great look. And in the video, he goes around with this. It's actually a pretty insane tag team of like a seemingly clout goblin Zoomer and like this old guy David here who's like got all the files and paperwork from 10 years of tracking this. And their combination is actually kind of beautiful. And they go around and investigate all these different buildings that are supposedly, you know, offering learning to kids or food or daycare.
Yeah, so that's why Nick Shirley here was able to just go around and in one day get over $110 million of potential fraud uncovered, because he's going through the files that this guy, David, has been building up for years. And, oh, this place is suspicious, let's go visit it. And it wasn't just the visiting that was happening, it was also showing the paperwork, showing the statistics, showing the numbers, a lot of it from Minnesota government websites. So there's a lot of that in Nick Shirley's documentary. And you can go to Nick Shirley's documentary. I'll have that itself linked below as well. You should go there and watch it in its entirety at Nick Shirley's own channel.
Care or autism preparedness, and there's no kids, and they're all charging the government large amounts of money. So I respect a lot the work of this duo and what they did. There's parts of the video I don't like when they have AI generated sort of videos of black people throwing money in the air in luxury cars. I think it sends the wrong message, but the core journalism of actually going to investigate was great, and I really enjoyed it. So listen, let's back up here. When it comes to government fraud, there's a general zoomed out pattern.
Yep, so, okay, so this is just only about 2 minutes of this video I've watched here. You can go watch the whole 20-minute video. I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, this is Decoy Voice here, and he's going to talk about some of the Tim Walz stuff and the fraud stuff and everything. And let's go. Actually, I have a couple of videos by him, but let's go on this one right now.
It's insane to think a YouTuber is exposing the worst foreign fraud ring our country has ever seen, and the mainstream media is rushing out to protect the fraudsters. As Nick Shirley recently went to Minneapolis to investigate these Somalian healthcare providers.
A list of all of the healthcare companies. Loads of them right here. We want healthcare. Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here. Warning, you are under video surveillance.
Yeah, see, these are not just daycares. They're also healthcare companies, and there's a whole bunch of other things that are suspicious.
Healthcare
And
here, healthcare right here, another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here.
he means 3 inside this this single room or single suite. Even though he said in the building, there's actually a whole load in the building that he showed earlier.
Now we have another Helping Hands Present Help right here. We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk about getting the best healthcare?
I don't know.
No?
Sorry.
All right.
Also finding these childcare facilities don't seem to have any kids.
It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
Where the children are?
Yeah, where are the children? It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
That is harassment.
Oh, we are from ourselves.
Yeah.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. Look at that. Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center. And look, this daycare center right here, no children inside of this daycare center.
So worst case scenario is they took in a bunch of kids that are suddenly missing. Best case is there never were any kids, and this is just another example of the rampant fraud in Minnesota. Either way, law enforcement needs to get involved today. But when they did, they defended the alleged fraudsters.
Yeah, decoy voice goes into this section of the video, of Nick Shirley's video, and talks about it. But yeah, so basically the police show up and they're like, you know, they're pretty anti-journalism, and I can see why they would do that. They probably have orders from their higher-ups. And also when the police show up, it's usually the person who complains the loudly or complained first that the police will initially take the side of. So I can understand that. But I know being in situations where it doesn't matter how many neighbors complain to the police that, you know, there's a certain house sitting there and it's obviously selling things that the police should be interested in them selling. I'm not going to say what kinds of things. And all the neighbors keep reporting it to the police and nothing happens, nothing happens. And then a couple years later, there's a big old news article, yep, the police finally raided that after years of complaints. And yep, what everyone was saying the whole time was true. You know, I've seen that sort of situation happen. And also, it's just, it's not necessarily malice. It can be incompetence, and it can be that police are really good, but they've been told by their higher-ups, hey, if you interfere in large groups of people doing illegal things, they're going to come after you or your family. And so we can't do that unless we do a huge raid. So there's a lot of the police like looking out for the safety of themselves or their families and following their supervisor's instructions, that they might have been told that, you know, you do not go after large armed groups until we've accumulated a huge mountain of evidence, and then we do it all at once. So that we don't have problems of police getting picked off one by one by the bad guys. We don't want that. We want police to be safe. So there's a lot of reasons that police might act like this, including legit reasons, but it sure is frustrating, and it sure is suspicious when there's something like this going on. And of course, Nick Shirley is not the one who broke this story. Other people broke it, and he's not the only one who complained about it. Other people complained for, it looks like at least 10 years, according to what various whistleblowers are saying. So people complain, and the amount of suspicious money disappearing just goes up and up every year, and it finally got real big. And now it looks like there's going to be a whole bunch of investigations. Let's go to this guy here. So the officials like Tim Walz here. And I know I have pronunciation difficulties, but I can pronounce Tim Walz. A lot of people, including mainstream media, keep calling him Tim Waltz. You know, waltz like the dance. It's not. It's Tim Walz, I'm pretty sure. And but he keeps saying, well, just because I was in charge of Minnesota and it got really bad while I was in charge, it doesn't mean that I'm having anything to do with it. And it's like, well, either you're stupid, you're incompetent, or you're maybe in on it. And all three of those choices don't look good. So there's a lot of anger towards him right now and other officials, and they're trying to deflect. So let's watch. This is Valhalla VFT, and we're going to watch just maybe a minute of him.
This is what happens when your own federal government wages war against you. This is what happens when they target communities for their own benefit. This is what happens when they scapegoat. And this is what happens when they no longer hide the idea of white supremacy when you hear the Vice President of the United States talk about now white people won't have to apologize for being white.
Ah, there we go. This is all about white supremacy. It has nothing to do with massive inlaid fraud, some of the worst we've ever seen. No, this is all about federal overreach and white supremacy. Thanks, Tim. He was almost the Vice President of the United States, by the way. Yes, since Nick Shirley's expose, the Calci odds have now skyrocketed to almost 70% that Tim Walz will be charged with a federal crime.
Yep, so I'm going to...
They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single...
Oh, why did it go to that one? Okay, so anyways, that one, the Valhalla one, and then I'm going to watch this one here. So this one, John Ross, who does a Bob Ross kind of parody, How to Paint Like a Somalian. Okay, here we go.
Hey there. I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of How to Paint Like a Feminist. And if this is your first time joining us, we'd casually like to invite you to pull up a chair, including that big red special one. That's the Tim Walz chair for re***s. It's okay. The president said it. We're bringing it back. I'm gonna go ahead and have my handy-dandy producer run the colors across the bottom of the screen there. We're gonna have Somalian purple. We're gonna have hemp green. And of course, red. Now, you're probably asking yourself that, hey, that's not red, that's pink. Well, you're probably right. But again, it's so who cares? Our first color, we're going to start with our hemp green there. Nice.
Okay, so, yep, so pretty much everyone is calling Tim Walz that name, and there's people that are trying to make it about calling him bad names, and there's people who are trying to make it about white supremacy, and there's all sorts of deflections going on. And I'm going to go to Decoy Voice again. This is on one of his other channels, Decaf Decoy. And so he's talking Asmongold just won. So this is about the feud. I'm just going to show a few minutes. So Hassan and Asmongold have a really long-running feud, and where they kind of argue with each other on their own shows and streams and programs and stuff. That they kind of like put down each other and argue about issues indirectly by each saying stuff. And this whole Somali fraud allegation thing has become a big thing that they are beefing about right now. So there's a lot of beef here, and so Decoy Voice is going to talk about this a little bit. How Nick Shirley is getting put down in the middle of all this. We'll watch a little bit here.
Hassan isn't a fan of the idea that Nick Shirley went out there and exposed all this fraud. Because he rushed to Twitter to say, I don't know what kind of fraud Somalis and daycares are doing, but I think it's a separate crime to try and storm with the camera into daycare with kids in it. And the most ridiculous part about this is he didn't storm into a daycare with kids in it. He stormed into a empty building that says they provide daycare with absolutely zero kids. Because I can say wholeheartedly, if there were children in there, Nick wasn't shoving a camera in their face. He was just asking the adults, how do I enlist my kid into this? How, you know, is there paperwork? I have a son named Joey. Let him in there. But here we have a son oversimplifying the situation to try to have a dunk on him, saying, alluding that Nick was just trying to record the daycares, and you know the daycare owners are trying to protect the kids. Like, this is the most ridiculous take on this ever. But obviously, so you can't expect much out of him. I like how Nick replied to it saying, people like this communist literally shock their dogs and complain about America 24/7. And when someone actually leaves their room to do something, wait for it, they then defend the criminals. And that's what it is. That's his whole shtick, is there's a minority doing.
Yep. So yeah, Hassan is doing this kind of character smearing. And I actually wanted to go over, let's look. So here's a little bit more Asmongold and Nux Taku on his Nux channel here is going to talk about it, and I have to be careful because Nux says a lot of naughty words. But yes, so we can watch a little bit of this. I've got it to 4:17 here, and then we'll watch a little bit of this, but not very much. But Nux makes a really good point here.
So this is what Asmongold had to say, and a lot of people are mad at him for this. But let's hear what Roach Guy had to say himself.
You have to make the punishment infinitely worse than the crime. And I'm talking about deporting the entire family, denaturalizing the entire family, sending the entire group of them back to Somalia.
I mean, to be fair, they keep saying Somalia's culture is better than ours, so we're doing them a favor if we deport the whole family to Somalia.
That's what needs to happen.
Oh, shit.
And anybody complicit and anybody involved in this scam. And until we have...
You want to know the irony of this take? That you need to deport the whole family? Like a collective punishment deal to make it just not worthwhile for people to scam us? You want to hear the craziest thing? Asmongold has gotten so based, so unfathomably based, that he is taking Israel's strat...
Okay, so yeah, so there's a few bad words in this next section, but I can summarize it for you. So anyways, Nux Taku here is talking about how Israel has strategies for making certain actions not very productive, and this is not part of the war. This is just, you know, when there's various attacks during peacetime, making things less productive by making sure that the monetary incentive is cut off and even reversed, that you lose, or rather your family after you're gone, loses more money than the money that Iran pays them to do stuff like that, so that they are de-incentivized. So yeah, so what Asmongold is talking about here, which is bigger punishments, and what Nux is talking about, which is monetary de-incentivization, those are both good strategies, and some of them are already in existing law. Like a lot of this fraud that's allegedly happening, you can close down huge amounts of it by just enforcing existing laws. So a lot of people, but also what Asmongold is talking about here, it's something like something that already exists, and it's done. So here it is. So here's a Google search: sponsorship of new citizens. So sometimes when a citizen is trying to, when someone is trying to become a citizen, someone who's already here becomes their sponsor, and they're responsible for guiding them through stuff and making sure that if they're unemployed for a while, that they have plenty of money to support themselves and don't become dependent on the government and various other things. So if you have the law set up so that sponsors of people who commit serious crimes are also on the hook and can get like huge fines or deported if the people they bring in commit serious crimes. If you set up the law like that, make it so that everyone who comes in is sponsored, and then the system would kind of police itself, because sponsors would not want to jeopardize their own status by bringing in someone who's going to do crimes. And of course, groups of criminals would all still, try to bring each other in. But then when they got caught, the whole group would go, even the ones that maybe hadn't done anything, at least not anything that we could find in this country, because they brought in the criminals. So, and that's not unconstitutional or illegal or anything. There's a lot of the American Criminal Code that is set up so that if you have a close association with criminals, that you share some of the guilt. Like, the bank robber who's just driving the getaway car is also, guilty. So there's a lot of where entire groups of criminals can all suffer at least some punishment. So that's not against the Constitution or against human rights or anything. So if you had law like that, that would be good. And I'm going to show you something else. So this is British YouTubers. They got their website there, but this is the podcast of the Lotus Eaters. So there's a whole bunch of crime statistics. So they do a load of videos, mostly about British politics, some, Denmark, Netherlands, stuff like that, occasionally branching out into other countries. But they have a lot of charts that they like to show of crime statistics. And so I found a video where they got a bunch of them here, and we can't watch a whole lot of this, but I'll show you some of it. Let me hear them talk a bit.
This is total conviction rate, and even then, under total conviction rate, Albanians per 10,000.
4,000 convicted.
Oh, no. Don't do that. Oh, no. Oh, no. Don't do that. That's a phone. Okay, well, let's just look at the kitty until the phone stops. Okay. Yeah. Your special tuxedo girl. Yeah, that's almost certainly a scam on the phone, because I get about... during the day, I almost entirely get scam calls. Real calls come in the evening. Okay, so we'll listen to this again a bit. So let's go back.
Per 10,000?
Yeah, between 2021 and 2023.
In 2 years?
And this is Home Office and ONS data.
Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous. And then you do get more like...
Yeah, let's go back 5 minutes. Okay, and then let's listen.
Home Office and ONS data.
Jesus Christ.
That's ridiculous. And then you do get more like the North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, other parts of the third world as well.
Any of those...
Moldova, Congo...
Oh, yeah.
1,500, almost 1,600.
And again, the kinds of crimes they commit.
Yeah, and then, so look at this. This is just one of their charts about, so the total conviction rate per 10,000, and this is British data. So the Albanian immigrants, there's over 4,000 per 10,000. So that's 40% of Albanians. And we've got that are that are committing these crimes, and then we got a bunch of other countries, and then it shows how many times greater than the UK. So Albanians are 29 times greater crime rate than the UK crime rate, which is down here, 136 people per 10,000. And this was, as he said, collected over just a 2-year span. So all these other countries. So basically, what you got to do is not just make the sponsorship stuff where everyone can go back if the person they're sponsoring commits a crime, a serious crime, but also you need to look at numbers like this. And I think you need to make new laws so that anyone that is coming from a nation that has let's say a 3 times or higher rate of serious crimes than the native population. Anyone coming from that, if it's 3 times or higher, they need to have a very low cap on the total number of people that can come. Like maybe if it's 5 times greater, you need to say no more than 1,000 people per year can come in. And of course, those 1,000 will be vetted harder than a country that's allowed to have 500,000 come in a year. So if it's like maybe 5 times more, 1,000 comes in a year. If it's like the 29 times more like Albania, the law should say just no one comes in for like 10 years. So have people write a law like that, and then anytime that a community of immigrants is extra criminal, then that prevents more from coming in large numbers. No matter how good those newcomers look on paper, they can't come in large numbers. So if that kind of law was passed, then that would solve a lot of the problem. And of course, there's also the problem that they didn't have policies and laws that were this stringent and this punishing, and that's how the problem got to this point. Well, there does have to be some deportation from that, and like Asmongold said, it needs to be rather rigorous. If you're not an American citizen yet, or if you obtained your American citizenship through fraudulent means, then your citizenship, your ability to stay here should not be very stable if there's any hint of a crime. And so that's just how it should be. I don't know if people will actually do it, but they need to support the process of solving this problem in multiple ways. And there's even other ways, like good bounties for turning in people who do those crimes, although that can be really hard to do if there's a large group that are all cooperating with each other. But I'm going to watch just a little bit more of this one, because they kind of talk about some of the stuff that's happening.
Admitting you're going to be substantively different.
Somalia is 1 in 10.
The UK is 1 in 136.
Yeah. God. So that's just general convictions, and then if you break it down into the type...
Yeah, and then these statistics are pretty bad too. But yeah, it's and the Albanians 40% in that statistic, and that's government statistics. That's the real deal, at least supposedly. But yeah, that shows that Albania that they say that they had a really huge organized crime there, and then Organized crime always wants to establish new bases of operation in richer, more exploitable areas. And that's one of the things that you always got to be on the lookout for, is any kind of even hint of organized crime. But 40% is crazy for an immigrant population. 40%. Oh my. Okay, so that is it.